Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Friday, May the 19th, 2023. Astrologers are often quite focused on events, precisely timed events. For example, the spring equinox. This happens at a precise time on or around March the 20th, 21st. Or a new moon. The new moon is about the sun and the moon being exactly conjunct, and it happens at a precise time. Likewise, a full moon. The sun and the moon are at opposition each other, so we take the precise time of that opposition. So what do we do with that precise time? We set up a chart for that new moon, full moon, equinox at that precise time. The reason we do this is because we take the view that that precise time is special. It's like an interface between two worlds. Two worlds are coming together. It's rather like the wardrobe in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So if you've read that book, or I think seen the film, you have a wardrobe which allows ordinary British children to, in the 40s, I think it was set in the 40s, was it the 30s? I don't know. To go into a wardrobe in an ordinary house in England and to enter into a new world, into Narnia, somewhere completely different. So that wardrobe is like the interface. And likewise, that precise time when a new moon happens is the interface. It's the interface between the world here, ordinary world here, and the planets, the energies of the planets, which normally are, quite passive. They don't affect us directly, but at the time of an event, like a new moon, full moon, the equinox, the gateway is open and the energies of those planets flood in, and they affect the world, and they can affect individuals. For example, like yesterday I talked about the horoscope of that former Green Beret, Nicholas Maimer, who was killed in Bakhmut, I think, by a Russian artillery strike. I don't know precisely when he was killed, but he was killed a few days ago. And I think, at least that's what the Wagner Group was saying. And the Wagner Group showed his driving license, and his driving license showed his date of birth, and so we could set up a chart. And the thing about that chart was, that I pointed out yesterday, is that he had a Venus-Mars conjunction at, I think, around 29 Aries. Now, on April the 20th, there was a new moon at 29 degrees Aries. And so that new moon was like a gateway was opening, and it hit his Venus-Mars conjunction. Now, I don't think he felt it straight away, but it was like setting up an event. It was creating a situation where, as far as we know from news reports, where a few weeks later he died. So the new moon was part of the astrological reason why he was killed when he was killed. And it's like that with more collective events, political events, not necessarily affecting individuals. With these new moons and these equinoxes, this is why, if you're into magic and the occult and all this, and you want to celebrate new moons, full moons, equinoxes, that's why you have to have whatever ritual you're doing at the precise time when that new moon, full moon, whatever is happening. You can't have it half an hour before, half an hour afterwards, because you've lost the gateway. The gateway is closed. You're not going to be able to fully use the energy. So, for example, if you saw that there was going to be the spring equinox, and you looked in your tables and you saw that the spring equinox was going to be at, say, I don't know, 3:37 a.m. your time. It's no good saying, well, what I'll do is I'll celebrate it the previous evening at 11 p.m. And I'll have a party then, or I'm going to celebrate it tomorrow morning. No, you will have missed the moment. So you would actually have to get up at 3:37 a.m. or stay up until 3:37 a.m. to have your ritual, because that's the only time you're going to be able to experience that gateway, when the energies are going to be there. If you do it at any other time, you're a fraud, in my opinion. So those are a few words, a few thoughts about events like new moons and full moons. And so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to just have a look at today's new moon. So yes, there is indeed a new moon today. So let's have a look at it. I've set this new moon for London. No particular reason. I usually set up the day's charts for New York, but this time it's set for London, May the 19th, 2023, 4:53 p.m. So this is 4:53 p.m. is the time when the sun and the moon are exactly conjunct, and so this new moon. What's it going to do in London? I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a particularly big new moon for London, but certain things we will all of us experience at regardless of where we are. So this new moon across the world, everywhere, by definition, is semisquare the hypothetical planet Kronos. Now, Kronos, of course, it doesn't exist. It was discovered supposedly by some German astrologers in the first half of the 20th century by the Hamburg School. I think sometimes known as the Uranian astrology, Uranian system. So Kronos is a planet of government and government power. So when you have a new moon, a semi-square 45 degrees from Kronos, this is the start of a time when governments are going to want to control us. I know they might try and control us gently, with regulation, perhaps saying they're looking after our own interests. Although in some societies they might want to control us more violently, using the police, using the full force of the state. So this is something we may experience with this new moon, semisquare Kronos. At the same time, we notice that the new moon, 28 Taurus, is sextile Mars. So this tells us that it's a very forceful new moon. In Western Europe, I know this is set for England, but indeed if you go to France, the Netherlands, Western Germany, Mars will be up here on the midheaven. So that is about governments wanting to assert themselves, to really use their full force and to show that they are militarily competent. So maybe, for example, in terms of Ukraine, over the next few weeks, we may see European governments going out of their way to say how they're going to be sending more and more arms, stuff like that, to the Ukraine. We've already seen Britain send depleted uranium to Ukraine, send these Storm Shadow long-range missiles. Um, so yeah, we're seeing governments really trying to show off their military generosity, and perhaps over the next few weeks with this new moon, we're going to see more of that. Um, so that's certainly something to look out for in this new moon. Now, as far as individuals are concerned, it's maybe not so bad. The new moon is sextile Mars. So if a new moon is sextile Mars, it's a great time to be assertive. We can get our way. So if there's something you want, work out how you can get it. Now, I don't mean being assertive just in some random, obnoxious kind of way. It's about thinking about it, because sextiles are about talent. So use your talent and your skill to work out how best to get your way. And I think in most cases this is not going to be about being stupid, being stupidly assertive. It's about being clever. It's about being manipulative. It's about using your feelings and being very grounded. That's how to get your way. And in terms of romance, yeah, I suppose that's what people are interested in. I sometimes think that, when people watch my videos, they kind of think, oh, astrology, love, whatever, that's what I'm going to talk about, whatever. And as soon as they realize that I'm just not that kind of person, they just go somewhere else. Fair enough, it's a free world. But I would say that this new moon sextile Mars is good from a romantic perspective. It allows us to be, or if romance is of interest to you, it allows you to be gently assertive. If you're in a relationship, there's plenty of controlled passion, plenty of emotional togetherness. It's a begin. It could be the beginning of something wonderful. I have to be optimistic, don't I? Yeah, so that is a good point about the new moon. So as far as today is concerned, how do we feel about this new moon? What is today going to be like? Now, this new moon is kind of interesting because it's at 28 Taurus. Normally, when we think about a new moon, we think about it's a new beginning. Yet this is a new moon which is right at the end of Taurus. So it's kind of a new moon which is about an old situation. So this new moon is about the start of something which has its roots in the past. So it's a kind of a weird new moon because things are about to change. The sun is about to move into Gemini. So we may feel that things really are about to change. So if you are creating some new project, don't make fixed plans. Yes, it's certainly a good idea to initiate things, but you need to realize that as soon as you start to initiate something, you're going to have to change your plans, or at least change some of your plans. So it is very important to be flexible. At the same time, some of us may feel the need to completely transform the situation, and this is because this new moon is on the Neptune-Pluto midpoint, or at least it's aspecting the Neptune-Pluto midpoint. And I'm thinking, Neptune-Pluto are about weird forces that are perhaps beyond our comprehension. Pluto is a planet of transformation. Neptune is a planet of dissolution and deception. And yeah, it's weird forces are coming into play with this new moon. Now, some of us might not pick them up, but they are around. Something weird's coming in. And it doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter whether we're in London or Tokyo or wherever. And we must be ready to deal with that. So if we start something new, the moment we get it going, we're going to think, what's going on? And if we stay our course and we don't change, whatever we start is going to end in disaster. So we must be flexible there. So I think that's an important point to make about this new moon. So as far as today is concerned, the moon will very quickly go into Gemini. So it may be a day of two parts. Towards the evening, there will be a change. Particularly if you're in the US, if you're in the western part of the world, things might seem very staid, people doing things in a careful Taurean way, but suddenly the energy changes. Suddenly there's a desire for variety. Suddenly people are changing their plans. So be aware of that. Now, as far as the 12 signs are concerned, here are my forecasts. So, Aries, you're approaching the border post, and soon one reality will be exchanged for another. And I think the reason I said that is because Mars is about to change sign. Mars is about to change sign from Cancer to Leo, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. Taurus, it feels like a new start, but actually it is a culmination of a long period of change. Gemini, you're quieter than usual, but also very talented. Music, politics, whatever. Cancer, at work there's a new beginning, and it's all about past efforts bearing fruit. Leo, the old ways of doing things are no longer successful. Originality is the way forward. Virgo, a new way of organizing yourself attracts new interest. So you see, I'm using the word new a lot in my forecast. That's because there's a new moon. I mean, it's simple. Libra, relationships start a new phase. It's about the beginning of emotional engagement. Scorpio, you're supposed to follow the rules. At least that's what you're being told. Sagittarius, if there has been recent chaos, you can change the situation with new routines. Capricorn, it starts with an impulse, but at some stage you must bring this impulse down to earth. Aquarius, you expect things to be done in a particular way, with no room for artistic license. Perhaps, Aquarius, you're being a little too inflexible. Pisces, I think people have got the message, and you can now relax. Moving on to the I Ching, I threw the coins in the air, as usual. And I got hexagram number 36. Now, hexagram number 36 is called the darkening of the light. So it is a bit difficult. We are in a situation where things are in decline. Some of the things we're involved in are in decline. Maybe the fact that we've got this new moon at the end of Taurus, the new moon, you can't see it. That's when the moon is invisible. When a new moon is together, if it's a night sky and there's a new moon, you will not be able to see the moon, obviously by definition. And so that kind of links with the darkening of the light. It can be about the forces of evil getting stronger. I know that sounds a bit dramatic. And if bad people are in the ascendancy, what can we do? In this situation, we can't fight evil. What we can do is we can run away from evil. So if we see evil people, bad people around us, don't think that you can necessarily stop them. at least in the short term. Just perhaps make yourself scarce. And then, you've done the right thing. And then look around you. What are you going to see? Because this hexagram, the darkening of the light, 36, it moves to hexagram number 55. And so that suggests a sort of temporary reprieve. This 55 is called abundance. We suddenly look around ourselves, the light may be darkening, but there's still some light left. And we can see that, we're at the top of our game. What we were involved with is working well. But again, it's about a peak. It's about the midday sun. The midday sun after midday, it's only going towards the western horizon. It's only going to get darker. So that is a bit grim, that hexagram. So indeed, the whole I Ching reading. And so in terms of what you should do about it, consider the possibility that something you're involved in is no longer working. Maybe even people you're involved with are no longer doing you any good. And so it's time perhaps to accept the situation, to say your goodbyes, and to move on to something else. Because once you've got rid of all this evil, these degenerating forces, and you've moved yourself somewhere else, you've cleared the air, then you will be in a position to start a new phase. And perhaps that's what the new moon is all about at the end of Taurus. We have to say goodbye to the disintegrating forces and move to a brand new future. So bit of a mixed message there, but I think if we do the right thing, I think we'll be fine. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.